Welcome. And the theme is about meeting yourself where you are. And if we're in a good place, we're in the middle. But I was kind of off down some edge when I was sick earlier this week. But it's also, I was thinking about all the COVID and the knowledge that this meant for a year, and the every time my daughter was saying, it's like every time you turn on the TV, you just get depressed. And, you know, if you watch the news, and most psychologists will say, watch less news, you know, and it is, ignorance is bliss to some degree. And so you funnel and get certain sources so that you're not taking it on every hour on the hour. It's just like, get it and go, because it doesn't change a whole lot from the beginning, and you'll catch up. But at any rate, that notion of how quickly things can fall apart and how long it will take to build back. And so it's not uncommon, even for, like, I'm very fortunate. I don't have to worry about my mortgage getting paid. I don't have to worry. I mean, I'm not swimming in dough, but I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be comfortable. The depression still hits, the COVID depression. And while the stomach bug got me closer to my goal weight, getting, that's my daughter reminded me, it's a line from The Devil Wears Prada of, like, I'm one stomach bug away from my goal weight. It's more not my goal weight, but getting back before COVID spread took over. So COVID spread is kind of like the freshman 15, you know, it's a real thing. Part of it's anxiety that we sort of eat over our discomfort and uneasiness. And part of it is we're just less active in some ways, unless you're really cranking it up. So at any rate, we just have to be where we are in this place. So if you're feeling uneasy and sad and funked out, and some days I feel euphoric and I'm ready to tackle the world and be creative and find new solutions to the problem. And then other days I'm not. And we have to be patient with ourselves and say, here's where I am. So today we're going to be a little quieter, slower practice, just because I can't go upside down too quickly. Nor do we want you to. Nor, I think I'm safe, but, you know, we just don't want to push it, because I still can't look at food commercials and things, you know, or smell food or things like that. At any rate, that'll be gone soon enough. I'll be packing it in, don't you worry. Not to worry about me. So if we take a good seat, a nice manual, and so I thought about practicing yesterday, and it's like, I don't know. I did a few little stretches, and I thought, well, I'm just this is my first practice in 3 days. So it's Tila's first ever practice. So that's a pretty good thing here. We'll take it easy. We won't kill you. We'll just make you feel good. And that's the main thing, that it clicks that drug and you say, I want to do that again, right? As opposed to, like, crap, I thought I was going to die. And who wants to come back to that? So close your eyes if you haven't already, and bring your awareness to your breath. And just notice, like a river, the breath flows through the body. Notice if there's places where it gets caught, places where it doesn't flow easily. And then invite a deeper, fuller breath. And you do that by relaxing the low belly, allowing the low belly to expand on the inhale. It appears to inflate, but it's really the diaphragm pushing down on the organs. And then on the exhale, the low belly appears to deflate. You pull the low belly back just slightly, the belly button back. It's not a heavy duty movement, but just be aware of relaxing the low belly and then engaging, pulling it in as to release, to allow the diaphragm to release and open. So one of the things that's pretty amazing about the diaphragm, that it's a big sort of parachute shaped muscle right up into the rib cage. It just pops right up into it. And it's attached to the heart. So the quality of our breath, I've been spending a lot more time on pranayama, on breath, because it has a direct effect on your heart, on your blood pressure, the muscle of the heart, the muscle of the diaphragm, and the diaphragm's attached to the psoas, the biggest muscle connecting the upper and lower body. All of that's so connected. So you take full, deep, easy breaths and don't force them. Then begin the box breath where you're inhaling maybe for 4 counts, try 4 counts, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and hold for 4. If you feel yourself gasping for breath or struggling, drop it 3, 3, 3, and 3. Just even, whatever it is. And it'll be 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. As you relax, as the muscles around the lungs and the ribs become more relaxed, the breath will just naturally get longer, more easy. As you're breathing, you may feel the urge to yawn, and that's perfectly normal. Your body's asking for more oxygen. And then invite what we call the ujjayi breath. It's a sounded breath. You constrict the back of the throat slightly, where you can hear the breath coming in and out through your nose, like the ocean sound from a conch shell that you put to your ear. And you may find that you can slow, you're up to 4 counts, you can slow the 4 counts down. Again, notice if your ego gets in the way and says more numbers are better, slower numbers are better. And then you'll find yourself gasping for breath. So you listen, you meet yourself where you are, and then you allow through that portal, through that relaxation portal, maybe to go a little bit deeper each time. But that's not the goal, to go deeper. The goal is to be right where you are. And that being in the present moment, meeting yourself exactly where you are, is a radical act of courage. And then as you relax, see if you can extend the exhale. Just notice it may have already naturally extended. Maybe it will extend to 5, to 6, maybe even 7 and 8. You can just pause for a beat or 2 at the top and bottom of the breath, not try to hold for full counts. But it's an inhale for 4, if you're up to 4. And then just pause just enough maybe to swallow, and then exhale, double the counts you inhaled. So if you inhaled for 4, try to exhale for 8, but 6 is fine, 7 is fine. Again, you'll notice if you force it, it's sort of like if I force myself to be real active right now, it will not serve me. In the end, I'll be flat on my back again. So you be where you are and notice where the breath takes you. So this is the 1-to-2 ratio breath. The 1-to-1 ratio that we did in the box breath, where the inhale and exhale were even, is a breath of stability. The 1-to-2 is a breath of calm and relaxation. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And that's the nervous system that says everything's okay, you're safe, it'll be fine. There's no tiger panting at the mouth of the cave. This is a breath you can use anytime. If you're driving and people are crazy out there and you feel the energy crank up and you feel your stress building, the next stoplight, do the 1-to-2 ratio breath, preferably with your eyes open, but you can soft focus on the stoplight. If you're on the phone with a friend or a family member and it's getting tense, then do the 1-to-2 ratio breath. Everything will calm down. And when we're calm, we can think. We can sort our way out of what's in front of us. When we're in high stress, high sympathetic nervous system, that's the fight, flight, freeze response nervous system, our ancient brain takes over, and it's just kill or be killed kind of a feel. There's no thinking going on, there's no reasoning. So the 1-to-2 ratio breath drops us into our newer brain, the frontal lobes, and allows us space to think through what's going on, to get into our reasonable place. And the next time you exhale, don't hurry. Come back to your normal, regular breathing. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Inhale, exhale, cleansing breath. Inhale to Om or just Om. Release the hands, flutter the eyes, open, and so we'll start on your back. Have your 2 blocks near you, but we won't use them right away. Turn your feet to the wall, and you'll just place the heels, the soles of the feet on the wall. Lie flat, and then robot the arms, bump your hips a little closer to the wall so the knees are bent, and then push into the wall so the legs straighten. You'll lengthen the low back that way. You'll notice the sticky mat will cause the tailbone to lengthen just naturally. Oh. All right, say again. Read it, yes, absolutely. All right, so robot your arms so you have your elbows to push into. Bend your knees and lift your hips and scoot them a little closer, like an inch or 2 closer to the wall, but your feet are on the floor, Debbie. The heels are on the floor. There you go. Sorry, I wasn't clear about that. Then if you push into the wall to straighten the leg, you'll notice how the legs kind of lock in. And you notice how it lengthens the low back. It pulls your tights down, your yoga pants away from where they need to be. Right? That's fine, just keep it there, no one's looking. And then with the robot arms, lift your shoulder blades a bit and scooch them under your back. Spread the toes and press into the 4 corners of the feet. That's the ball of the foot nearest, so lift the toes away from the wall, press the ball of the foot nearest the big toe into the earth, lift your inner arch, press the inner heel into the wall. The earth is the wall now, sorry if I do that. Then keep that from the inner heel, reach up to the ball of the foot nearest the baby toe. Even though the baby toe starts to come to the floor, try to lift it off. May not, but to the wall. And then press into those 3 corners. And the last one is energetically in your mind, in your imagination, lift your outer arch and tack the outer heel down. And notice how the muscles of the legs are working. We do this standing all the time, but we're just reversing it. And notice the legs are still working, but you're not locking the knees, but you're pressing in. And then stretch the arms overhead. One long stretch. Nice. Release the arms to the side. Take a quick snapshot of your back, how your sacrum, that's the back of your hips, how it's resting on the floor. One side might feel heavier than the other, how the shoulder blades are resting on the floor. And then bend your knees, roll over to your side, push up, and set your blocks in this T position for supported fish. So this is with your head away from the wall. So you see how I have a block here and a block here, Tila? And this edge of the block, I'm gonna turn sideways for you, just a second. This edge of the block goes right here in that spot about bra height, right between the shoulder blades. And then this goes right behind the head. The knees can be bent. It doesn't matter whether you're close enough to touch the wall or not, but yeah. There you go. It doesn't have to be that close. You'll adjust this one, how far it needs to go. Just lie down on this one, and it gets you right there, right that place you try to itch right in the back. Come on back, I'll watch. That looks perfect. Yeah, and then come back and with your hands adjust the block so it hits the back of your head. Come on down. That's good. Come on down. There you go. You might even scoot a little closer. What'd you say, Sherry? I mean, it needs to go a little closer to the hips. Yeah. So scoot your head towards, yeah, bring it, not that much, just about there. There you go. Try that. That may be a little bit high. There, try that. Okay, yes. Scoot. Is that okay? Does that feel all right? All right, good. It's hard to explain. Usually I'm walking around just adjusting you, but since we're not, turn that up high. There you go. Yeah. Try it. Come on back. That looks about right. Yeah, there you go. Is that all right? It's a pretty good, yeah, the knees can stay bent, feet on the floor. And just, thanks, Debbie. I appreciate you catching that from the side. Oh. So this is a passive chest opener, passive back bend. You can walk your feet a little bit wider than hip width apart, turn the toes in and knock the knees together. See if that's comfortable. You may have to adjust how far apart your feet are from each other. You can get them too far apart and it feels like a strain, too close and you're not feeling much of anything. So that's kind of a passive psoas stretch. So we're into passivity today, not passive aggressive. I know what's coming up in your head because I invented passive aggressive behavior. But no, just passive. Passive is good. Passive. And you'll notice the head of the arm bones start to sink more to the floor just naturally because gravity is your friend here as opposed to that evil thing that's dragging everything down. So we're letting gravity work for us here. And breathe. Come back to the 1 to 2 ratio breath. Breathing deeply into the low belly, relaxing the low belly. We'll just stay here the rest of the class. No, I do have other things. All right. Then on your next inhale, roll off, move the blocks off to the side and roll back onto your back and just notice if anything changed from the little snapshot you took at the beginning. Is there anything different in the way the back of your pelvis connects, the sacrum connects to the ground, the shoulder blades connect differently? Just that little movement, for me, had a nice little effect. Small, but the small things make the difference. You know this because how big a pebble do you have to have in your shoe before it completely throws you off? Not big. And then inhale, draw your knees into your chest and roll over onto your hands and knees. Roll to your side and use your arms to press yourself up. And take a blanket. This is how it comes off the stack. Roll it. Now, if your knees do not like the hard surface, blanket number 2 is your friend. So put it under your knees and shins. Take the rolled blanket and in the kindest yogic way, shove it into the crease of your right in behind your knees. You have to lean forward with one hand and shove it with the other hand. And then sit back on it. The toes are not tucked here. You can tuck them. Oh. You can tuck them if that's easier. This is called, in the most loving and accepting way, smash. So we're just, not only are we smashing the calves, this should be a little painful. Yes, Tila?
Yes.
Yeah. So we're, oh, you mean, all right, do they hurt across the top?
No, I mean, not unbearable.
Just see, and leaning forward will take some of the pressure off, leaning back. This is your volume control, right? So how heavy you want the sensation to be. So you go into the sensation, it will release, and then maybe even rock side to side if you want more pain. And I feel this as much on the back of my hamstrings as I do on the calves. So that's telling me that the fascia, that's this nerve-rich sheath that covers muscles and tendons and muscle fibers, and it's just like a big spider web that's a wonderful thing, but it gets sticky, it gets tight. Debbie has a good idea. So she's using...
How is she setting up so straight?
Well, she's a yoga teacher, and she's been working a while. And did you hear her little comment about, I knew you were going in this direction. It means she's been here before. And if it's really intense, you can flatten out the blanket a little bit, take the roll out of it. Yeah, and you can maybe move the roll just an inch down to get on the lower edge, right where, so we were kind of massaging right here. You move it down, you massage about right there as well. And my roll totally flattened, sorry. Oh, right, you brought your, yes. I think I need my little thin towel, right? All right, and you can rock back and forth, but remember the breath. So notice when things get difficult, we tend to hold our breath. And that's just normal because things are difficult. So the sympathetic nervous system says, crap, there's a tiger at the door. You know, it's that ancient thing of I'm in danger. So we stop digesting, we stop, you know, kind of stops to allow us to marshal all of our energies in one position. So we're kind of countering that, like we're not unsafe here, it's just intense. All right. It's a tiger, or as that feral cat I live with, right? Oh, he helped yesterday too. So I was finally gonna eat something other than Jell-O. All right, so come off of that. And come to hands and knees and back up to your wall to where and you can do this without a wall. So if you're without a wall, it's just regular bird dog. But with your left foot on the wall, about hip width apart, and the right knee, the thigh is straight up and down. So if the thigh is way under you, then move it back. If it's way behind you, move it forward or scoot closer to the wall. Walk your hands back so they're under the shoulders. Claw the floor, push into the wall or an imaginary wall. I say this all the time. And stretch the opposite arm forward. So this hand is clawing down, this one is reaching out. Keep pressing into the wall. And as much as you press into the wall, draw away from the wall, like someone's pulling your wrist. What? Well, it is, you may be a little stronger. And see if you can square your shoulders to the short edge of the mat and pull your outer right hip crease back and then release. Woo. Mama needs a rest. Knees apart, toes together. You can That's how, I mean, I've been brought low. I'm telling you, it's humbling. Take a deep breath. Oh, just as I come to side B, now this is going to be more information than you want, but you're getting it. He has a tendency to eat too fast. And you know, when cats eat too fast, it tends to come up quickly. So that's just something he does. Press your right leg against the wall. The left knee, the knee's right under the hip joint, not forward or behind it. Good. Press into the wall. Claw into the floor with your right arm and stretch the left forward. So as much as you're pushing into the wall, stretch the arm away. I talk about this all the time when we're without the wall, but this gives us that concrete sense of where is that? So anyway, I was making a scrambled egg thinking I could eat this. Didn't want to, but my stomach was growling and I was shaky. Release, come back to child's pose. And of course he was jumped up on the counter and lost his breakfast right there. So breakfast got postponed because I couldn't face it for a while. So yeah, he was so helpful. My daughter got me a RoboVac. And so when he starts to cry at me and get all whiny and I want, and snappy, I just turn that sucker on. It's like the fig minder. Okay, walk back to where, if you've got a wall, your feet are against the wall. The hands are in front of the shoulders. The hips are a little in front of the knees. And lift into an easy dog. Keep this upside down letter V. Feet on the wall, knees are bent. And as you push into your hands, push your hands so the heart moves towards the wall. Now from here, as you're pushing into the wall, hug the heels towards each other isometrically. Like that, imagine like you have a block between the heels. They don't move closer together. They feel like they're trying to go closer. Notice the inner thighs working. And then the upper inner thighs move in, back, and apart. And maybe you start to straighten the legs only if you don't shift your shoulders forward. Woo, about as much of that as I can take. Walk your feet forward, then your hands back towards your feet until your bum hits the wall if you're on a wall, or otherwise just regular forward bend. Hands on your hips, hug the legs towards each other and come to standing. You good? Huh? There you go. All right. So just step anywhere on your mat, and you can move the blankets out of the way so that you have stability here. Interlace the hands behind the back, and notice which thumb do you have on top. It's almost always your dominant hand is the thumb that's on top, but it could be different. Doesn't matter. That is your dominant. That's the one that's your favorite side. Let's put it that way. So the feet hip width apart, lift all 10 toes, soften the knees, press through the four corners of the feet. So don't lift off, you're pressing down. Even though you're lifting the toes, the feet are down. And then hug the heels towards each other energetically. Shins press forward energetically. Thighs go in, back, and apart. And as you slide the toes on the floor, tailbone lengthens, and you stretch the arms down the back. Maybe the arms straighten, maybe they don't. Open the upper chest. Oh. And breathe. If it's in your wheelhouse, I won't be here long. Soften the knees, lift from your sits bones as you tilt from the hinge from the hips and go forward, maybe halfway. Oh, maybe all the way. Or you can stay halfway up if having the head below the stomach doesn't feel good. Inhale, press down through the legs and rise up. Release. All right, just one standing thing. So you'll be turned towards me and put that side to the wall. So in other words, your left side, Jill's right side, right? So if you've got a wall, use it and stretch up. Your feet are not jammed up. Okay, the feet are not jammed up. I'm gonna come up here. Yeah, I'm still on screen. Okay, the feet are not jammed up to the wall, but you kind of snuggle, see how close you can get. And you can widen the feet apart a little bit if you want to. Now, just reach the fingertips like you're trying to reach for that thing up in the top. Now, as much as you reach, pull the energy back so you're pulling the head of the arm bone back into the shoulder socket. And you'll micro bend your elbow so you don't, there you go, so you don't hyperextend. This thing was like coming away from the wall. It was like, there's air there. All right, now maybe your armpit, maybe this side's away from the wall, maybe it's towards the wall, but you don't force it. You're just working in that direction. Just depends on how tight your shoulders are. So as much as you're reaching up, you're also trying to seep this back down into the socket. Palm to the wall, Debbie. There you go. So you can claw the wall and get it. There you go. Now, with the outside hand, so here's the inside, here's the outside. Outside hand reaches the inside ribs and pulls the inside ribs just slightly towards the outside. As you walk the hand back, so if this is 12 o'clock, you walk back to 11 o'clock maybe, or 1, whatever, wherever you're seeing wherever you're seeing the clock in your mind. Depends on which arm. The left arm, it's 11 o'clock. The right arm, it's 1 o'clock. So just walk it back an hour or 5 minutes. Or you might be not, and if you find yourself walking it back and you're turning totally to the wall, then don't walk it back as far. And release. So this is a good home remedy, shoulder stretch. So if you spend too much time gardening over the computer, or in my case, slouching and hovering and, whining and whimpering, this is a good antidote. So we're doing my restorative practice. So turn to the other side. And again, you adjust how close, you play with that. How close should the inside leg be to the wall? How far away? Play with it. And then your hip might be on the wall. The inside hip might be on the wall. So Tila, walk a little closer to the wall so your right hip can get to the wall. But walk your left foot a little bit away from the right foot. Walk your right foot a little closer to the wall. There you go. Now lean into the wall, hip to the wall. Ah, do you feel that? There you go. Push the outer foot, your outside foot, the one not closest to the wall, push it down more. Not lean into it, just push the foot down. There you go. Now stretch the arm up the wall more, stretch it up, reach for that thing at the top, and pull the head of the arm bone back into the socket, stretching the side body towards the wall as far as it will go. With the outside hand, reach for the inside ribs, and just remind the ribs not to go to the wall. They will go, but you're feeling the resistance there. And then on your next inhale, walk the fingertips back maybe 5 minutes, maybe an hour. And again, if your shoulders are really tight, you won't be able to go back very far before you start turning your whole body towards the wall. So you just go to where you're saying, so here's my guidance for when the stretch is good. It's like, oh, I need to do this more. This feels good. When you go to the place of like, crap, when is this going to be over? You've gone too far. So you just find that little place, meet yourself where you are. Push the outside foot, the outside leg down more. Push the right hip into the wall and reach up with the fingertips. Pull down with the shoulder, the head of the arm bone. And release. All right. A little therapeutic for the shoulders. I haven't opened my shoulders that much in 3 days. Like, woo, I feel like a whole human being. All right, have a seat. Recommend sitting on a blanket. I think all of you guys are good with 1 blanket. If you need 2, that's perfectly good. Decide where you are and sit up on it. Do a nice manual inner rotation. So Tila, this might be like, why are we playing with our butt in yoga class so much? So we all tend to have a natural turnout. And what that does is it kind of crowds the pelvic floor and the SI joint. So if we do a manual inner rotation, and I call it free trapped buttocks. So I'm inner rotating and then pulling the buttocks flesh out. You roll more towards the frontmost and innermost edge of the sits bones. And your legs become more parallel. They're not turned out, they're not turned in. And then sitting up. So if sitting up this way, your hamstrings can't take it because we haven't really stretched the hamstrings. Bend your knees, but keep the feet at attention so you can sit up. Or the other option is to tilt back into your lawn chair. When to lift the chest. Once we collapse, we've lost the yogic feeling and we're not getting enough breath in any case. All right, so pick up your right leg and cross it over the left one. And the left leg can come a little bit across center to make room for it. And the foot's on the floor. Now, how close this is depends on how much you can get your foot, the bent leg foot, firmly on the floor. So you might be able to pull it back, but it can't go down. So you just adjust it. Now, squeeze your legs together. So the straight legs pushing out and the bent legs pushing out as well. So you feel a little lock right in there. And then use the knee and pull your chest up. There you go. Keep this foot at attention. It's flexed, and as though you have a candle on the top of the knee, the candle's pointing straight up. It's not rolling out or in. It's neutral, and lift up. So now keep the legs kind of hugging together, and on the next inhale, lengthen. Tailbone goes down, crown of the head goes up, and begin to turn towards the bent leg side. So if your right leg is up, you're turning towards the right. Right? Hold and pull the knee across. Keep squeezing. Notice you'll lose the hug of between the ankle and the leg. Keep squeezing. Inhale, lengthen, and exhale, turn. The right hand can go behind you and help you kind of bend and perch up. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, twist. And notice if you're twisting the head faster than the torso, that can happen because we don't have a lot of flexibility. So you're going to turn that direction. Use the other hand, Tila. The left hand holds the right hand by. There you go. There you go. And flex your straight leg foot. Flex it. That's pointed. Flexed is this way. There. You feel the hamstring work a little bit more there? Yeah. Good. You see those little tiny adjustments can have big effects, and that's what we work with a lot here. It's like not the big stuff, not the handstands and the flip-flops, but it's like the subtle stuff. And inhale your way back to center and release. Just notice a bit in the middle, a place in the middle, and change sides. So the straight leg, in this case, your left leg is bent, the right leg is straight. So the right leg just slides a little across the midline, so the left leg has room to go over. The left foot firmly on the floor. It can be as close up or as far away from your hips as you need to, your volume control. Engage the straight leg. It tends to want to take a vacation. The straight leg pushes out and the bent leg pushes out. So it's like they're trying now to get to the other side, but there's a block there. And you'll notice that helps you get a better sense of upliftment, just squeezing there. It's an isometric work. Then if your left knee is bent, your right hand takes hold of the left knee. The left hand goes behind you. Lift up, inhale first. Keep pressing into the floor with the left foot and squeezing the left and right legs together, and inhale, lengthen. Then exhale, just a little twist with the ribs, not the head yet. The head stays right in line with the sternum for a while. Inhale, lengthen, tailbone down, crown of the head up. Exhale, the ribs turn. Keep doing that slowly, 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 so that you're not hunching up the shoulders. It's a rib twist, so relax your shoulders. Yeah, relax your shoulders. There you go. Because it's like you're trying to pull yourself around where you hold this way. You can actually twist the whole way without even using. This just helps a little bit, right? And then at the last moment, when you've twisted the torso as far as you can twist it, the head just gracefully looks over your left shoulder as far as the neck wants to do, not with tension, but with a sense of curiosity. And breathe. And inhale your way back, just to stretch it out. All right, so, okay, bend your left knee. If your knees can take it, this one can stay straight, and the right on the top. It's Gomukhasana. Remember, we do this on our back. It's a ride your motorcycle pose. It's just, we have more freedom on the back. So you can always roll on the back. So you're trying to stack your knees on top of each other. There you go, there you go, there you go. Squeeze the knees together, flex the feet, particularly the top foot wants to collapse and sickle. So you're still lifting the outer ankle. squeeze the knees together. And right now, this is screaming in my hips because I'm so tight right now. Usually this doesn't bother me at this stage. And then you can place your hands on your ankles if you want, or another option is you're not pushing down, you're not pushing the knee down, you're pushing the knee up into the hand, even as the bottom knee is trying to lift up as well. And then for some of you, you may be able to hinge forward. So the desire to go to hinge forward means a lot of times people will collapse. So if just sitting here is saying, oh, I'm feeling plenty, then don't go any further. I can usually go much deeper in this, but not today. This is not where this is exactly where I need to be today. Oh, are you feeling this, Debbie? Okay. And release. So this isn't a traditional restorative class, but it's more about restoring getting my blood moving so I can start teaching regularly next week. So now the opposite one. So your left knee's on top, bend the right knee underneath. If you can't figure out which it was, I didn't check to make sure everybody had. All right, so you snuggle the knees as close together as you can, flex the feet, squeeze the knees together. Oh, man, how quickly you lose it, right? 3 days ago, this was not where I was screaming. Took a long time to get me screaming here, but very open in the hips. That's very good. Does it feel okay? Yeah. All right, squeeze the hips. Feet are engaged, so you're pressing through the soles of the feet. You can put a little, it's more like a stop here and the knee's pressing up. You never want to push the knee to the side, but the knee's going to push into it and you'll feel this inner thigh muscle working a bit. Oh, then maybe tilt forward from the hips, not from the chin. You're just tilting at the hip joint. Nothing else is moving, or not. Just stay seated. Meet yourself where you are. So I got started a bit today because I was telling you about all my fun illness and everything. So we okay going about 5-10 minutes late, sir? Okay. Nobody has to catch a plane? I make COVID joke. Release. So many of us are travel a lot, and so it's like, good luck with that. There's been no travel at all. All right. Okay. And that's been okay, hasn't it? It really has. All right. Roll to your left side. Or actually, you guys face me, whatever it is. Yeah, left side. You can go right side. Yeah, just face me. Roll to A side. Let's try that. All right. Make tree with the top leg. So the bottom leg is straight and flexed. You can be on your elbow. If your elbow starts to hurt, everything in me is hurting right now. Tender, tender, whiny baby. All right. So you're pressing the sole of the foot out like it's into the wall. You could press it into the wall, but not necessary. You're in tree pose here, so the foot's here. And then keeping everything else, just drop the knee down, but don't let the hip go forward. So you're stretching the hip back, the inner knee's moving towards the floor. May or may not go to the floor. And then as you push into the imaginary wall through your straight leg, lift up and out to get a good stretch. I'm feeling this all along the front side body here. Yeah, I thought it was the upper leg. Not so much. Yeah. I mean, this leg could do this, but I actually feel it more when I'm trying to, because you're doing a twist, you're moving away from it slightly. Oh. Now you may find there's a couple of volume adjustments here. You can try this one where your hand is on the head and you're getting more of a stretch along what we stretched along the wall through the tricep and the outer rotator cuff. You can try that. Well, that's interesting. You get it more here than here. And then come up. Oh, and swing around, change sides. Bottom leg is straight, foot is flexed. You come into tree leg. So flip around and face me, Tila, would be easier. If you flip your head around and face me. There you go. Sorry. It's like, oh man, feeling like a mullet on a dock here. That's my Florida. Mullets just jump on the dock and they just like flip flop, back in the water. Yes. Oh crap. Well, they supposedly, someone told me, my dad or somebody told me that they adjust their food. You'll see them and they'll jump out and they'll flop down kind of on their side bellies. I don't know, but they do that. That's what they do. So they make a mistake. They go up and there was a dock there because they had a little bit too much arc. And then it's like crap. All right. So then keeping the hips stacked, begin to drop the knee towards the floor. And you're pulling the top hip crease away from the knee. And then push into the standing leg, that's the straight leg, and stretch away from where the foot is pressing into. And get a stretch. So I feel this here, but I'm very tight there right now because of what's been going on right in here. So you're, yeah. Shoulders are stacked on top of each other, so don't rear back. Well, yeah, bring your shoulder on top, bring your left shoulder on top. There you go. And then see what happens here, where you're coming down into, it's kind of a beach babe form of, this is for Sherry at the beach. Yeah. And you can readjust, go back to the other place, wherever it felt like the stretch you needed. And then adjust yourself. We're going to do the number 4 stretch, like the pigeon stretch at the wall. So sorry, I don't need the blanket. You'll get about like you fell over in a chair, right angle, and you can adjust again how far you need to move your hips to the wall. So you start here. Robot arms, bend your elbows, push your elbows into the earth and lift your shoulder blades a little bit, snuggle them under you, and then put the head of the shoulders back down. Cross your right ankle over the left, so it's like you're sitting cross-legged in a chair. The left knee, thank you. More specificity, because if we cross the right leg over the left, it would be girl cross or metrosexual cross. This is kind of got a pantsuit on, or I'm a guy, one or the other. Now, if you're not feeling anything here in the right hip flexor, you use your robot arms, your elbows, to help you lift your hips, and you keep inching your hips a little closer to the wall. Still keep your low back curve, which means your sits bones are trying to move down towards the floor, so your low back lifts a little bit off the floor. And maybe you're feeling it here. You can take the palm of your right hand and snuggle it way into the left hip crease, the outer left hip crease, and push the thigh away from your low belly. Yeah, that feels good. The right foot, the foot crossed over the leg the knee is still flexed. It's not collapsed. The baby toe side of the foot's coming back to the outer knee. So you move as close to the wall as you need to feel a stretch in the right hip. Do you feel this, Tila? So widen your knee apart a little bit. It's not so much, excuse me. There you go. And flex the foot and slide the foot a little bit down towards the floor, just to, not that foot, the other foot, sorry, right foot. There, that's enough. There, flex the foot again. There you go. You feel it in the hip? Okay. Then take your right palm and push it in right in your hip crease, right by your belly. No, the right one. The right palm into the right hip crease. Right palm. Oh. There you go. Into the hip crease, down in the top of the thigh. Push the thigh away from the belly with your hand. Ah, do you feel that? Yeah. There you go. And then your left hand can just relax. It can do whatever you want it to do. Ah. And then change. Other foot's on the wall. Left, you may need to, this may be tighter or more flexible. So if you're not feeling anything here, you bump your hips a little closer to the wall. If you're feeling too much, you bump your hips a little farther away from the wall. Still keeping the low back curve, which means your low back is still, the back waist is lifting off the ground. The sits bones, the bottom of your sacrum, is right where the tailbone is moving towards the floor even more. So, and that will increase the stretch in the hip as well. So you play with that. If you collapse the low back to the floor, it's hard to feel anything. But if you make a nice little arc with the low back, and then push the top of the left thigh away from your low belly. Oh, yes. You can always do this with the foot on the floor. I just like it on the wall. I don't have to hold on as much. And then release. So move a little bit away from the wall so your feet can come to the floor with maybe the toes touch the wall. And again, do this passive psoas stretch where you're pigeon-toed, the heels are out, the knees are knocked together. So how far apart your feet are from each other, you adjust. If they're too close, it's hard to get that sense of release. If they're too far apart, you're just strung out. You can't get your knees together. So you find that little place in the middle, that sweet spot. The back waist is still off the floor because you're tilting the hips, the pelvis is tilting, the sits bones are tilting towards the floor. And you breathe. For final relaxation, you can do regular just on your back, like the way we started, or you can do legs up the wall, or you can just stay where you are. Legs up the wall is a nice inversion. If you're doing inversions, it's very simple. So Tila, roll over to your side a minute, and I'll show you this, and then you can decide. So I like to use a blanket under my sacrum for legs up the wall. Don't have to. The blanket doesn't go right to the wall. It's about a fist distance away from the wall. And then the trick to get into it is get off your blanket, back your bum up to the wall. So you're totally off the mat. You go to one side. Turn towards me, your head's towards me. Turn your head towards me. I know it's back, feels backwards. Turn your head towards, come to your left elbow on the mat. Come forward towards me. Have the mat out there. Left elbow comes onto the mat. Out, 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 out. Start to move your head towards the center of the room. Yeah. And then just bump the edge of your hip up onto the blanket. Just move your hip up onto the blanket. Get your hip on the blanket. Is it on the blanket?
Yeah.
No, it's not. Your waist is on the blanket. Get your bum on the blanket. There's a word, the bum. Now slide your left hand underneath you. Slide over, kaboom. Legs up the wall. You're here. Lift your knees, lift your knees. You're gonna face away from me, yeah. See, your head's it has to be towards the center of the room more. See how your head's more towards the front. There you go, you got it. Let me get the light out of your eyes. If you're at home, you can always lope your legs over a chair, a couch, or do regular lie flat. So again, you meet yourself where you are, what you need for your body. Begin to deepen your breath. Deep, low belly breathing. And as the breath deepens, bring gentle movements starting in the fingers and the toes, working through the feet and the hands, and stretching arms and legs. If your legs are up the wall, bend the knees out in a butterfly with the soles of the feet together and bring the heels down towards the hips. A little butterfly open thigh, stretch. And then draw the knees together and roll to your side and rest there for a few moments. Just collecting everything in. And rolling a little more towards the floor, use the strength of your arms to push yourself up to a seated position. And sit well. If you're against the wall, you can use the wall. Sit any way that works for you today. Tailbone is lengthening into the earth. Crown of the head is reaching for the sky. And when we keep to the practice of meeting ourselves where we are, we honor where we are, who we are, and we listen to what we need. It all comes from the heart. We live in a deeper sense of wellness, joy, easefulness. Draw the palms together in front of the heart center. Namaste. Thank you guys for practicing my slow go with